Raise your hand if you've ever looked back on a memory that was embarrassing. I'm not surprised. When I was in primary school, I got into a lot of fights. I mean, a lot. The amount of squabbles I got into made me disliked beyond belief. I was a goody two-shoes, a snitch, and generally a party pooper. Don't take this too literally. I didn't actually eject fecal matter onto a party. That's what diapers are for. Although I was viewed as mature in the eyes of some, this wasn't the case for some others. But what is maturity? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're expected to grow up and act more mature? Perhaps your parents, like mine, have uttered those words to you before. But what exactly does it mean? The dictionary defines maturity as the state, fact, or period of being mature and having reached the most advanced stage in a process. Now, we can all agree that humanity is not at the most advanced stage and we're actively innovating and developing. This begs the question, are humans automatically immature? Not necessarily. This depends on one's definition of mature. Picture this. You're in a cafe and the waiter has just given you and 2 other people the wrong drink. What a detrimental situation. One of the customers responds with composure, wisdom, and discipline. Let's call them customer A. And the other responds like this, violently, impulsively, and pugnaciously. Let's call them customer B. How would you respond? Which one do you think is more mature? And a better question, how old do you think customer A and B are? Globally, laws and regulations agree that 18 is the age where a person is considered an adult and therefore mature. However, most scientists agree that the human body fully matures by the ages of 25 to 30. However, in recent years, Karens have taken the world by storm. Characterized by a middle-class white woman who is perceived as entitled and demanding beyond the scope of what is normal. An immature adult. A paradoxical statement because it disproves the notion that maturity is based on your age. Age-based definitions of maturity vary, demonstrating that most are developmentally arbitrary. So, age is not directly correlated with maturity. From this, we can see that there's a distinct difference between physical maturity and emotional maturity. Physical maturity is how physically grown you are. Biological indicators such as puberty have been used to benchmark the transition point to adulthood. As an example, can we all please stand up? How many people in the room are taller than you? Are they the same age as you? You may sit down now. On the other hand, emotional maturity is the extent of the development of your psyche, a subjective personal measure of adult-like abilities and privileges. We need to address the misconceptions about maturity. Let's go back to customer A and B. Did you think customer B was the older one or the younger one? Factors influencing maturity include wealth, access to resources, developmental environment, and relationships. For instance, a study published in the National Library of Medicine discovered that people who grew up in underprivileged neighborhoods and experienced adversities at an early age developed emotional maturity, a stronger sense of empathy, and self-awareness sooner. A study from the same library in March 2021 suggested that perceived parental psychological control in early adolescence potentially undermines autonomy, leading to less favorable outcomes well into adulthood, displaying lower psychosocial maturity and peer acceptance. Other factors such as traumatic experiences, emotional abuse, neglect, and bullying can also shape an individual's behavioral patterns, such as becoming a people pleaser. Such early developments of maturity can stem from a lack of parental attunement or a healthy social life, leading to lower psychosocial maturity and peer acceptance. Maturity also has a significant impact on likability. When we improve active listening skills, fully empathize with each other, and display emotional intelligence, we form deeper connections. Consider a situation where your friend is having a tough time, Instead of dismissing their concerns and suggesting quick fixes, a mature response would be to actively listen to their problems, fully empathize with their feelings, and offer genuine support. Such behaviors allow us to develop our relationships and become more likable people. Now, I can hear all the little voices in your head saying, Charlize, how do I become more mature? Well, identify your emotions. It is so important to have self-awareness, as it is a key component in becoming emotionally mature. When you start to feel strongly about something and start to act impulsively, take a step back and think about why you feel this way. Perhaps what you're feeling at that moment is not as significant as you think it might be. Maybe what's bothering you is not as significant as you think it is in the moment. Secondly, write down each emotion and write down the reason for it. You can practice cognitive restructuring by keeping a thought diary rather than falling into maladaptive patterns. Thirdly, take responsibility and apologize whenever your actions do take you too far. Try to think of alternative ways to think about your situation and whether it is worth worrying about. If there is something about your situation that you do not like, try working towards change. Otherwise, learn to embrace and accept it. Imagine a role model and put them in your situation. And ask yourself, what would they do? And finally, learn to have patience and live in the present. Now, let me be honest with you. As I was writing the speech, I was conflicted about the meaning of maturity. The reason why I wanted to write the speech in the first place wasn't because I was particularly passionate about educating the public on how to be mature, although that did develop throughout the process. Initially, it all stemmed from my own anger and frustration at the people around me. I was upset at people's attitudes, work ethic, and the way they treated the people around them. I was upset that people could be so entitled to the point of lacking compassion, understanding, and basic manners. I was so upset that I wanted to write it all down in words. Now, this may seem a bit counterintuitive because I'm discussing how to regulate your emotions, but that's different. It's different because it's natural for people to react and respond to something. And as I continued to prepare, I realized something. It's okay to feel negative at times, and it's okay to feel upset at things that seem beyond your control. But the difference between you and other people is that you can be compassionate, understanding, and respectful. And that's what it means to be mature. Not just getting bigger or taller. I mean, have you seen the 12-year-olds these days? They're so tall. Maturity is about understanding, empathizing, and being compassionate, not only to other people, but to ourselves. There are many reasons why different people react in different ways, and the first step to becoming a more inclusive, thriving, and caring community is acknowledging and respecting each other. Just thinking about it is already the first step to becoming more mature. In all honesty, I've already forgotten what they did, but I will never forget how they made me feel. One of my favorite mottos is, all feelings are valid, but you do not have to act on it. And I think that is something we should all remember, live by, and value for the rest of our lives. Thank you.